So as most of you probably know by now, Poland, Sweden, and now Czech Republic refuse to play the Russian national team in these upcoming World Cup qualifiers. I already filmed a video explaining all of the possible scenarios that could happen in these World Cup qualifiers, including one of them being replaced by a third place team. I mentioned that Norway and Albania are the probable teams to be replaced. However, there are actually a lot more teams to be considered that could potentially replace Russia. If you missed my previous video, make sure you go check it out. I'll leave a link in the description below, because yeah, this is basically a follow-up video to that for all the teams I missed talking about. At the time I'm recording this, we don't know yet what UEFA is going to decide to do. So for all we know, this video could be a waste and Russia automatically qualify for the World Cup. But like I said in my previous video, it's not looking so likely that Russia will be the one staying. When Yugoslavia was at war in 1992, they still bossed their Euro group qualifiers. However, due to the fact that they were at war, UEFA decided to remove them from the competition. And in doing so, they brought in the second place team in that qualifier group, Denmark. So we could possibly see this all again, and who knows, maybe even UEFA will decide to remove Ukraine from the World Cup qualifier playoffs. The two teams I touched on in my previous video were Norway and Albania, as they have the most points in their World Cup qualifier groups. However, you can also argue that Slovakia could take the spot, as they were in the same group as Russia and Croatia in the World Cup qualifiers, and they got third. It would be a bit unfair to Slovenia because they have the same amount of points, but adding Slovakia to the qualifiers instead of Albania or Norway could be more realistic, as when you also compare all of the points for all the teams in each group, it's not necessarily fair, as some of the groups have more teams than others, resulting in them playing in more matches, obviously. So it might not be the most fair assessment to go off of, but UEFA might stick to it regardless. And if UEFA decides to remove Ukraine from the qualifiers, or Ukraine decides to remove themselves because they're just not in the position to play football right now, we could potentially see the combination of Norway and Albania coming in, or Slovakia and Finland. And I say Finland because Finland were in the same group as Ukraine and got third. I don't think they'll mix it up. It's either going to be Norway and Albania or Slovakia and Finland. Where each team will place in their path, I don't know. Will they redo the whole draw because of it? I don't think so, but maybe. But another team I haven't even touched on yet, which could also make an appearance, is Hungary. This country is the runners-up in the Nations League ranking. Although they didn't do very well in the qualifiers, finishing 4th in their group, it wouldn't be impossible to see this side in the mix, as the likes of Austria, Wales, and Czech Republic already clinched a spot in the World Cup qualifiers due to their Nations League success. We could see Hungary in the same boat now. I can't lie, it would be a bit cool to see Hungary in the mix, as obviously this side gets very unlucky in their draws. In the Euros, they were in the group of death. In the Nations League, they're also in one of the most difficult groups, and they obviously fell short in the World Cup qualifiers by quite some margin. However, they still put off good fights throughout, just had a bit of a dip. And yeah, now that Szoboszlai is not injured anymore, it would be exciting to see this side come up against the others. But obviously, the other sides would be cool to see as well. Obviously, Holland and Co. making a redemption for Norway, and both Albania and Slovakia are pretty underrated sides. For all I know, UEFA can make a decision about this all by the time I upload this, but it seems like they're going to take some time deciding this, as you can argue factors for all 5 teams, and if they decide to get rid of Russia, we still won't know what's at stake for the Ukrainian national team. Like I said in my previous video though, this might not even be a possibility with teams being replacements. We could just see Russia walking through this path, UEFA deciding to not do anything about it, or we could see Poland or Ukraine possibly getting a pass, depending on if UEFA decide to switch Poland and Ukraine's spot in this qualifier run. But with all that being said, if UEFA decide to go on the route of adding 2 teams in this mix, it's going to break down to 3 different scenarios. They have the teams with the highest points, Norway and Albania, or they add Slovakia and Finland, or they add Hungary and Slovakia. Maybe we could also see a mix of Hungary and Finland actually, but I feel like Slovakia might have the advantage out of the teams that are in the 3rd place spot, as they were in the same group as Russia. It's a lot to consider actually. I can't believe I missed this on my previous video, but that's why I'm covering it now, as getting rid of Russia and or Ukraine from the qualifiers is already a big enough step. Then they have to decide what to do after that. Now with all that being said, I just want to remind everyone, no hate to Russia. The Russian people do not equal the Russian government. So obviously it's a bit heartbreaking, as these players could potentially be punished for their government's wrongdoings. If UEFA or FIFA do decide to get rid of Russia, I will genuinely feel bad for the fans and the players. Obviously, at the moment, Ukraine is going through the absolute worst right now, but many Russian citizens are hurt with what's going on. But yeah, thank you all for making it to the end. This is obviously a shorter video than normal. Again, if you missed my previous video where I talked about the other possibilities of what could happen, make sure you go check it out, because who knows if teams will even be added to this. But yeah, thanks guys for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. These World Cup qualifiers are happening soon, so I'll be doing a lot of content surrounding them. Take care. Laku noć.